And good afternoon. Welcome to Sunday Brunch. I'm Chris McCarthy. We have Jacob Ventura here in the studio with us. Jacob is a longtime Dartmouth resident. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And you're running for State Senate, right?
I am. The open State Senate seat, the Bristol-Norfolk district. So it's northern Bristol County and a bit of Norfolk County.
Big district, right?
It is. It's basically the 95 corridor between Providence and the 93 Boston ring. So,
and the reason we have you in today is people over this. We get some audience over there, but you're a local guy. You born and raised in Dartmouth.
That's right. Yep. Born in New Bedford, raised in Dartmouth.
Okay. And you have been involved in Republican politics for a long time, right?
I have. I started probably about 12 years ago.
That was my phone was causing some static. Okay, so you started. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get involved in politics?
Sure. And before I begin, I just want to wish all of the viewers a happy Father's Day, including my father, who I hope is listening.
You hope.
And I told him I'd put in a plug for his local band. He's a musician.
Oh, really?
So he travels the local circuit. Wolf and the Jam Daddies. They do blues. So.
Oh, great. I like blues quite a bit. Yeah, that's great. Wolf and the Jam Daddies?
Yep. So happy Father's Day to my father and all the other fathers.
Is he
listening.
Wolf or is he one of the daddies?
I think he might be one of the daddies.
Okay. All right.
He plays organ and keyboard.
Oh, cool. So. Excellent. So you got started at a young age in politics.
Yeah. Started when I attended UMass Dartmouth, which is generally a pretty, amongst the student population, liberal to apathetic, and
right.
We started a college Republican group there and really gained a lot of access to local Republican candidates, state party candidates, and had a lot of good opportunities.
Yeah, you guys are a pretty tight group over there.
Yeah.
And then you got a job working in the legislature, right?
I did. I graduated with a finance degree, did some time at J.P. Morgan in Boston, and at that point realized that wanted to make a little bit of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran the 2010 re-election campaign for Joe Michaud in Dartmouth, the select board.
Okay. Ran
his state representative campaign, and then parlayed that into the legislature with Representative Stephen Howitt of Seekonk. So. And
you currently still work for Steve?
I do. I worked for him for about 2.5 years, and then went down to law school in Virginia, and came back for a few months, which was supposedly going to be temporary, but now here we are, and I'm running for Senate.
Fantastic. You were on the Dartmouth Finance Committee.
I was.
And you have some other local experience as well?
I do. I started off Dartmouth town meeting. First time I had ever gone door to door to get signatures. I think it was probably 20 at the time.
A lot more now, right?
A lot more now. So that was interesting. And the finance committee experience, that was about a year. Worked with a lot of good people in the town and learned a lot about how local government works and how state government doesn't work.
Right. Well, I think it's important to have someone with a local government background. You look at Charlie Baker, in addition to working in admin and finance and Secretary of Health and Human Services, and his professional career in health services, he also was a selectman in his town. Yeah. And look, Seti Warren, who's running for governor of Massachusetts as well on the Democrat side, he spent time as the mayor of Newton. He currently is the mayor of Newton. It's good when you have people who are bringing in some experience in local government as well as experience. But you also know where things are because you've worked a number of years in the legislature, right?
That's right.
You know how a bill becomes law?
Jacob? I know how a bill becomes a law. I know all the secret hiding places in the State House.
Right.
It's a very difficult building to navigate, but
yes.
Politically and physically.
Right. So, tell us, what are your priorities should you become a state senator? What motivates you?
Sure. I mean, three things mainly, and mainly three things because you have to keep it simple for voters. You only have a short time to get your message out. Number one would be reform, budgetary and ethics reform. Folks, for whatever reason, just don't trust government, state government, and so I would emphasize the fact that I'm a candidate who they can trust. I would, on day one, probably file legislation that deals with some sort of ethics reform. We have a few ideas floating around, and then budget reform as well. The state is doing a decent job. Governor Charlie Baker has been great, but there is need for improvement, structural issues. Number two would be advocating for a competitive tax rate and loosening some of these burdensome regulations that are affecting small business owners and job creators. Number three is local aid. Back to my time on the Finance Committee, I understand the importance of Chapter 70 and 90 and giving towns more flexibility and ensuring that Beacon Hill doesn't balance its budget on the backs of towns.
Well, we've had John Mitchell in here before, and he said it on my program. He said it on numerous programs. He says it regularly in the speeches. The current mayor of New Bedford, that there's a lot of things that the local towns can't solve because the state won't let them.
Right. Exactly.
So that's something that you're looking to try to work with and solve.
Yeah. So I mean, we're advocating for better schools, better roads, care for our seniors, care for our veterans. My time in the State House with Representative Howitt, one of our priorities have always been the local communities in his district, and fortunately, three of those communities are in my Senate district: Seekonk, Rehoboth, and Norton. So I've had a great opportunity to work with the town administrators in those towns, the veterans agents, the police chiefs, the fire chiefs. We've advocated for increased funding in the state budget for certain town projects, which is important through the budget amendment process. So I think that experience will serve me well as the state senator in this district.
Just getting back to who you are,
Sure.
Jacob. What's your background?
Born in New Bedford, two loving parents. I'm a member of the Wampanoag Quina tribe from Martha's Vineyard.
Would you be willing to take a DNA test?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually have the tribal ID card.
Oh, fantastic!
And
so no need for a DNA. You're proven. You get the card. All right.
If other people take the test with me, I think it would be a great event.
That would
be
a
nice charity fundraiser, perhaps.
That would be what an interesting idea. We'll get back to that.
And then, like many other people in southeastern Massachusetts, I'm half Portuguese, Azorean, and Madeira, and also Cape Verdean.
Why Republican?
Why a Republican? That's a very good question. I became a Republican again about before I was of voting age. But for fiscal responsibility, good government, and I think these are things that most people should be able to agree on. We don't in this state or nationally, but ensuring that the government are good stewards of people's tax dollars, that's what drives me. I think when I'm elected the senator, I would take my experience on the Finance Committee as someone who was a budget hawk and really make some people on Beacon Hill very uncomfortable.
Yeah. What about how are we on the Second Amendment, Jacob? That's a big thing for a lot of Republicans.
I'm very pro Second Amendment. I in the process of getting my mass firearms license renewed right now.
Oh, great.
Which is an issue in itself. Sometimes it takes a little long, but I'm hoping to get the endorsement of Goal, and I expect it.
Yeah. They're a good organization. So, what do you think of Charlie Baker's performance so far as governor?
I think he's been great. Part of my campaign is when I go out there and talk to people in the district, I'm telling folks that I'm going to be a part of his reform agenda. He needs more allies in the legislature. We're at 6 Republicans right now in the Senate. I would be the 7th, and I would absolutely be an ally with Charlie Baker. I think he's an excellent fiscal manager. Again, there's still need for improvement, and we need to make sure we hold the line on taxes during this revenue shortfall. I think the latest estimates indicate that we're at about a $439 million shortfall for fiscal year 17. I would certainly be an advocate for continuing to make government more efficient than asking taxpayers who are feeling the squeeze to pay more in tax revenue, and that's absolutely something I would advocate.
How do you feel about this ballot initiative they're putting forward? They're calling it the millionaire's tax. As we know, ballot initiatives can be changed after they are approved, so it may not be only millionaires that are captured by this increase. I believe it's a 4% increase. How do you feel about that?
I generally agree with the Beacon Hill Institute and the Mass High Technology Council. We think it would be very anti-competitive. I'm against it. I think currently rates would go from 5.1 to 4%. Also, the constitutional issue, I believe it's Article 44 of the Massachusetts Constitution, states that there must be a uniform rate regardless of income levels. So there's a lot of things wrong with it, and I think it's another cop-out by the legislature to seek more revenues before they look through the budget.
Yeah, I also think it may be unconstitutional, and I think the Mass High Tech Council may sue to knock the question off.
Probably.
Because they're earmarking the funds in advance as well, which I believe is also unconstitutional, and also is no guarantee. They do whatever they want.
I think there was discussion of them suggesting that it was going to go towards education and transportation.
Right.
I don't think there are enough safeguards to ensure that that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, it's also just not to get too deep into the weeds here, but as you probably realize, if you itemize your taxes, which most people in that bracket do, you can deduct your state and local taxes against your federal obligation. But that may be going away. The Trump plan, one of the Trump plans, the Wall Street Journal laid it out, may take that away. So really, it would be personally neutral in some cases, although burdensome. But it may become a huge problem if and when the Trump administration changes the federal tax code.
I agree. And the other issue we have to talk about is the capital gains. I think right now it's about 12%. It would increase to 16%. So this measure, while it may sound appealing to bring in, $2 billion in revenue, I think this would absolutely be a job killer and make Massachusetts less competitive.
Yeah, because it's not creating $2 billion. It's just moving it from private pockets to public.
Exactly.
Coffers. I mean, it's not alchemy. It's not magic. It's money that's currently circulating in the private sector, which would then be moved into the public sector. However, Jacob, we have a lot of people on mass health. I think it's about 40% of the state budget.
I'm being told about 41%.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it's a big obligation.
Any
thoughts on that? What can the state do? What's the state looking to do? Is there anything they can do?
I would defer to Governor Baker. He's an expert in healthcare policy, and I think his folks are working on that. We've had a few members of the legislature who have also proposed amendments as well to deal with that. I ultimately think it comes down to folks who need jobs, people who are unemployed, who cannot afford for healthcare. I mean, this is a national issue as well. So,
right.
It's a very complex.
It's very complicated
answer.
Yeah.
I was just reading yesterday that the Massachusetts unemployment rate is up now 5 months in a row to 4.2%. So I think it's about 155,000 unemployed folks in Massachusetts. So if we can create a better business atmosphere, foster economic development, hopefully we'll take people off mass health. But there are reforms that certainly need to take place.
I've always believed you have to grow your way out of a problem.
Yeah.
You can't cut your way out of a problem. Temporarily you can, but you do have to grow the pie. Listen, we'll take a quick break. We have Jacob Ventura, candidate for the State Senate. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with a little bit more. Well, good afternoon. It's Sunday afternoon, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I'm Chris McCarthy. This is Sunday Brunch. We have Jacob Ventura here, who's running for the Massachusetts State Senate. He's from Dartmouth. You're actually running in what towns?
So I'm living in Attleboro, but the towns are Seekonk, going south to north, Seekonk, Rehoboth, Norton, Attleboro, Mansfield, Foxborough, Walpole, Medfield, and Sharon.
A lot of really nice communities. Do you have a website?
I do. It's jacobventura.com.
Can you spell that?
JACOBVENTURA.com. And we're on Facebook, Ventura 4, the number 4, Senate, State Senate, and then Twitter @Jacob Ventura.
Excellent. So you've You picked up some endorsements here of people that that our audience certainly knows. Tell us who's jumped on board the Jacob Ventura train.
Well, obviously very proud to have my boss as an endorser, Representative Howitt, Seekonk, very well respected in most of the district, Seekonk, Rehoboth, Norton, Attleboro area. And he's been excellent. I've learned a great deal from him in terms of how to navigate the legislature, advocating conservative causes while doing it in a bipartisan fashion and earning respect across the aisle. Constituent services, of course, and then Bristol County Sheriff Tom Hodgson, which is a huge endorsement. I think he's probably the most popular elected official in my district.
Yeah.
And that will help in the Republican primary.
Yeah, I would say so. I think a lot of people trust, particularly in the Republican Party and the independents as well, and a lot of Democrats. I mean, that's the real truth of it. Trust Tom Hodgson's judgment.
Yeah.
And think that he's doing a great job, and that it would probably like if he had some more like-minded individuals in the legislature with him.
Absolutely, and he does a great job at the sheriff's department. He's got a budget program in place that I think would be great to implement statewide.
Really,
very strong accountability. I think it's a monthly meeting that they have, and they hold people accountable to their budget, input versus output. State government desperately needs that, and as a senator, I will certainly push to implement that. We have a bunch of other legislators that will roll out in the coming days and weeks on both sides of the aisle. And some folks are also advising us on certain legislation, so we're ready to hit the ground on day one.
Tell me, you've worked in the legislature for a while. You've also been in local government. You know that ultimately you've got to get along with people. I don't mean get along to go along, but I mean you have to craft legislation. You have to work together. How do you feel about working with the Democrats?
I'll just use this as an example. Working with Representative Howitt's office, we have worked very closely with our Democratic colleagues in the region. Senator Jim Timilty, who I'm looking to replace, has been absolutely excellent and very well respected in the district. And I'd like to emulate him, not on all policy matters, but the way he runs his office and the way he handles his district. It's just excellent. We work with, again, a lot of the other South Coast delegation. And at the end of the day, it's about being personable and likable. And you may not agree on every issue or many issues, but when it comes to local towns and that sort of thing, that's where you can really get the bang for your buck working with the Democrats.
Sure. Hey, look, we've talked a lot about policy, but you can't make policy unless you can get there, right? How's the campaign going so far?
It's great. I've got a very good team. This is a unique situation, this special election. We're one of the only things in the state, so we've got statewide recognition. We've got some folks from the Kelly Ayotte campaign who have come down to help us out. I've got some great campaign people who are currently working now, probably listening, so a shout out to them.
Right.
And we're going to pool a lot of resources from around the state, from the party, and from other like-minded independent unenrolled voters, and even some good Democrats.
Sure. And you're out there right now campaigning, going door to door.
We are. It's going to be a long, hot summer.
Long, hot summer. Long, hot summer. I've campaigned through some summers, and you're right about that. Jacob, once again, if people are interested in learning more about you, what's your website?
Sure. JacobVentura.com. That's JacobVentura.com. And our Facebook page is Ventura, the number 4, State Senate, Ventura for State Senate, and Twitter @Jacob Ventura.
Jacob Ventura. Hey, Jacob, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it, and nice for you to drive all the way over from your hometown of Attleboro.
Thank you so much, Chris. Good to see you again.
Thanks. We'll be back in a few minutes, folks.